Thank you for listening to the Fraidy Cat podcast. My name is Kelly McFarland.
I'm Carolyn Plummer.
And we're back for another episode. We have a guest with us again. If you've been listening consistently, he's back. Our very good friend, comedian, writer, actor, podcaster, host, everything. Corey Rodrigues is here.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
You're welcome.
Appreciate you two having me back.
Of course.
We love having you on the show. We had a good time last time you were here.
We did. Carolyn gave me a meat stick,
Yep.
a piece of jerky.
It was very dry, you said.
It was dry jerky.
It was dry, but it was healthy.
It was dry, healthy, and good, though.
Dry and healthy.
I was with it.
Yeah. What have you been doing anything since the last time we saw you?
Yeah. I actually, I went skiing down in Rehoboth. They have a nice hill down there, and I was
Just
checking
one
that
hill?
out. Yeah.
It's one hill.
It was the black diamond. No, that's the hard one.
Have you ever been skiing?
I've seen it.
Yeah.
You can
You've
swim
seen
and
it?
ski?
Oh, call back.
Black of all trades.
Oh,
hey.
no. Nuts.
Hey.
We thought that this
No, I can't
episode, you can't ski?
I've
No.
never skied.
But
I
you
don't
can
want to
swim.
lie.
Don't want to.
I'd rather snowboard if I was
Yeah.
gonna do anything. But
Snowboarding's harder than skiing.
I know, but I don't want to ski. I had so many people. I never seen someone come back to school hurt from snowboarding.
Yeah.
But growing up in Milton, there was so many people who came back to school like I went into a tree. And
Yeah.
then, like they'd be broke, their leg would be broke, or their shoulder, or a broken collarbone, or something.
I was a skier back in the day.
Yeah.
I ski.
Believe
too.
it or not.
No, I believe it.
I used to ski when I went to Plymouth State.
Okay.
And
Oh, you were like a skier. You didn't
a
just
skier.
like ski
No, no, no.
recreationally. You were like that was your thing.
No, recreation.
She was there on scholarship.
No,
for skiing? Wow, how fast
no,
can you
I
go
was not.
down
You're
hill?
making up lies. I worked at Waterville Valley. I
God.
could ski for free.
Do it
She wore the
one time.
onesie.
Do it one time, Carolyn. Let me see you.
Yeah.
The thing that you do. Yeah, let me see.
Wow, that
I can't with a
form
microphone.
is like a seal.
The microphone, my arm's going to fall
The
off.
microphone is heavy. It's heavy. I don't like to be cold. That's why I don't ski anymore.
I drank a lot when I
Oh.
skied. And now I'm like, I can't believe I did
that.
that.
I don't want to be cold.
Shots of Jägermeister and then go down a mountain. I'm like, I wouldn't do that
Yeah.
now.
Well, we decided for this episode we want to talk about hometown murders because Carolyn and I both have murders that have happened in our hometown. Multiple murders. In your hometown, was there ever a murder?
In a sleepy seaside town.
Yeah, this is all just so that I can do my...
She just wants to do her bit.
Listen,
Morrison
it's
impression.
only so that I can get to my Keith Morrison bit. That's all I want. No, that is not
That's
it.
That's the first heading on her thing.
No,
Dude,
it's
Keith
not.
Morrison bit. Talk about the murder.
Oh my gosh,
In a
lead
sleepy
into your
seaside-
own Keith Morrison bit. I love that. I only do 2 impressions. One is Keith Morrison, and it is on point, and the other is an owl.
If you ever see,
That's it.
That's Ric Flair right there. Woo!
It's not an owl.
It's better than that. My real owl impression is better than that.
It's a very aggressive owl.
Woohoo!
Yo, yeah, no.
That's
there
good,
you go.
right?
That's good. That was
Yeah.
good.
I
With
can
the
do
double.
Louis Armstrong, but it makes my throat itch.
Yeah.
Makes your throat itch?
Yes.
Okay.
You go like this.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and it itches. Oh, it itches when
That's
you
a
do
good
that.
Louis.
Do you do any impressions?
Uh,
A million of them.
I do a couple. Mm-hmm. I do a couple.
We know one
I was-
specifically. I'm not going to pimp you into doing it.
No,
Just do
I
it.
know. No. There's Denzel, but there was other ones I was trying to do. I was
Denzel,
try-
I'll just throw it
No,
away.
I was trying to do. What was I trying to do the other day? I used to try to do Gilbert Godfrey. I used to try to do Gilbert. I was trying to
Let's
do.
hear it.
I haven't done it in a while though. I feel the pressure right now. I feel like I'm at a party and they're like, "Come
really
on,
hard.
dude!
Be funny.
Yeah, be funny." Yeah, that's how I
Do
grew
it,
up.
joke boy.
Yeah,
Do
yeah,
it.
yeah.
Dance.
You know when you're at a party and you're young, once people find out that you're a little
Yeah.
funny though, like, come on, man. People would show up at parties sometimes and be like, I heard you were coming, man. You gonna do some funny stuff? And I'm like, I don't know,
Yeah.
man.
I'm
just gonna
not
be here, bro.
Absolutely.
I'm just gonna be hanging
Some
out.
13-year-old this weekend, he was
Yeah.
like, can you tell me a joke? I go, it wouldn't be funny. I tell more stories. He's like, he lost interest when I just said
Yeah.
no.
Yeah.
He was on one of those one-wheel skateboard things.
I don't know what we need to do as comedians to convince people that children don't want to listen to a stand-up comic.
No.
It's not for them. They don't want to do it. I don't know why people keep trying to do
He was
family-friendly
just being
stand-up.
polite, but I was like, I don't want to tell you anything.
Yeah.
It has to be here's what I found. it has to be a nerdy kid, like a kid who's above, like ahead of his time, and he's like, that was a really good bit. And you're like, all right, man, all right, little 8-year-old.
early Steve Martin.
Yeah, you know what I mean?
Also
They
had
love it.
bits that were set up punch and went down a path with beats.
Who are you?
Right.
I love those kids, though.
Yeah, those little kids, they get it. They're like, wow, that was great timing, right?
Yeah.
Either that
Your
or
timing is exquisite.
I was like, that wasn't a fart joke. That's not funny.
Yeah.
It was the other kids.
It was the other kids. And then you sometimes will get the kid who like they just like noises. So like if I'm doing a show, like any noises I didn't even realize I did. They're like, remember when you went and I was like, nah, I don't remember. They're like, and every time I see them, they're like, I'm like, I don't remember when I said so.
Sorry about that. I just had a memory pop up on my Facebook of this show I did last summer. It was 1 year ago. I was at I did a campground in Connecticut. And it's a video of me trying to do stand-up during the afternoon, by the way. And there's 4 little boys who are almost as tall as I am, doing rabbit ears behind my head. They're like talking to me. Then they start flossing. Remember when the floss was popular? I'm like, this is not. Someone commented how patient I was. I was like, what am I going to do? There's nothing I can do, right? I was judging their parents so hard, though.
The parents were there, too.
The whole time I was like looking at the parents being like, it's really good parenting, you guys. You're doing great. You're raising quality people.
Well, some people are stupid like that, and they look at that when they look at you doing that. They're like, well, she's getting paid. Yeah, and she knows it was going to be kids there. So their logic is that.
Yeah, this is
Corey, they asked me to do a guest spot because I was with Kelly because we had a gig the night before. And I was like, no.
Yeah.
And he was like, you sure you don't want to do a spot? I go, oh, I'm absolutely sure.
Yeah.
Because I saw.
I was like, just do it. She's like, no, it's going to be bad. You watch. And
I'm going to drink this cold soda and sit here at this picnic bench and watch.
It was so bad.
Oh, that's terrible.
I mean, it was, whatever. Yeah. It is. I hate outdoor gigs, too, by the way.
I had a moth fly into my throat during the pandemic.
It made it all the way through your throat?
Yeah, because I was talking. I was
talking.
What were you saying? The whole time?
For money.
Oh,
and there was a spotlight, and it flew at me, and I sucked in at the wrong time. Hit the back of my throat.
She was singing.
Right there.
I spit it out. It was awful. And then I had to apologize to the audience for spitting in public. I'm like, I'm Carolyn. I'm gross. I spit in public.
Kamikaze moth. He's like,
was
I'm going to get
awful.
to that throat.
Because I started choking on the moth dust.
That's gross.
It was really gross.
One of the only people who said they had moth dust in their mouth.
I was at the Nantucket Comedy Festival, and we were outside, and we were getting.
Donut? Sorry.
It didn't taste.
I'm just curious.
I don't know.
With moth dust.
It didn't taste like anything, but I was choking.
And I was getting like dive bombed with like horseflies.
Yeah.
And it was also because it's the island. It's so damp.
Oh, so nasty.
My hair was wet, and I ran my hands through it and pulled out a handful of horseflies because they had gotten stuck. And I was like,
you guys were outside though, right?
Oh yeah. I don't like an outside gig.
I don't like it. I don't like eating outside. So I just did. I
don't like eating flies.
No, I don't. I don't like eating outside.
You don't.
But
I know that about you.
I just did the Katuit. I just did the gig.
I just did the Katuit.
Okay, so when I'm up there,
brought to you by John Tobin Presents.
Yeah.
I am not booked at the Katuit.
Well, you know what, Carolyn? It's go on, Co.
All right.
Yeah.
So it was a good. Listen, it was.
It's a good show.
It's a good show. It was a fun show.
Yeah,
but I told the people. I said I was on stage and the bugs were everywhere. And I said, I don't know why I wore cologne. I smell like off because people were handing me the off. I was like,
someone handed me that after I swallowed them off.
At one point, I felt a tickle on my neck, right? And I'm like, once I get bit once, I'm that dude. I'm the dude at the party who everyone's like, what are you popping for? I'm like, because everything's biting me. And everyone else is like, I haven't got bitten once. I hate everybody else.
Yeah.
But they're all on me like, I'm going to take you. So I felt something tickle my neck, and I went like this. I just casually, when you reach, you never really want to feel it. It's like, get me and leave. Right. But I reached back on my neck, and I just felt one of those little beetles that are like on the golf course, those little chunky ones. And I was like, I said, and I said, I flipped my collar up. For the rest of the set, I said, if another fucking beetle lands on me, this show is going to be, they're dying. I'm like, I'm serious.
Yeah.
I was like, I don't like
so
this.
funny.
I don't like eating
I am
outside.
not joking right now.
I don't listen. When I'm eating outside, all it takes, let something bite me once or twice. It's like I can go inside.
Or a bee goes into your iced tea, you're like, great.
I don't like any of
Yeah,
that.
I don't want bugs anywhere. I'm itching right now just talking about it.
The one on the back of my neck though, to grab it and have it wiggle between your fingers while you're pulling it, and it was like,
yeah.
and I was like, oh, I'm done.
We did a show outside once, and bats were flying around our head, but we couldn't see them.
Yeah.
We're on a flatbread truck, and there's bats flying.
Yeah, see,
I was on stage and I'm doing my set, and I look over at Carolyn, and she's going like this. Her eyes were huge, and I was like, I wonder what she's doing. Why is she
Watching
being like
the
that?
bats
They were
dive bomb
just
Kelly.
over my head. They were like,
Yeah.
She couldn't see them.
But here's the thing.
They were eating the bugs.
They were eating
shitty
the bugs.
gig. Yeah, they were eating
They
the
were
bugs.
eating the bugs.
I was like, I didn't get bit
But
once
then
up there.
when she came-
you're a vampire
when
now.
she was-
You're starring in Twilight, Bella.
Like,
Yeah.
When she's
You
naming
saw
all the
them,
bugs,
right?
she's naming all the bats off. That's off.
Yeah.
She names the kids.
That's flappy.
Yeah, that's off. That skin's so soft.
Oh, that was nice. That could do it gig is good. I just never want to be outside for a gig.
No.
I just don't.
Maybe
especially-
they heard about the moth, and that's why they didn't ask me.
Maybe.
Maybe.
Taylor
Maybe they
Swift
don't.
just ate him off at her show. She
did?
swallowed a bug.
Oh, good.
But she's a real person. She just stopped. She was like,
She
I
spit
just-
it out?
Yeah.
Yeah.
She was like, I just ate a bug and I spit it out.
Mine was stuck on the
you
side
and
of the
Taylor
stage.
Swift. Same.
Listen,
So I'm like, I really spit it out. It's right there. And everybody's like, ew. I'm like, what would you do? Swallow it?
yeah.
I mean,
That's a good 5 for me right there, though. So sometimes
yeah.
I wish I swallowed it there. That's 5 right there. Shit.
know.
That's
And
5.
then I said, I'm probably gonna die from some moth powder disease.
Yeah,
and
probably.
Pat Collins was there, and he goes, I googled it. You're fine. I'm like, I'm not fine. I just swallowed a
Yeah.
moth.
Yeah.
do you ever go out outside?
Do you ever
That's
go
it.
outside? That's
That's
it.
it.
That's
Do
the
you
end
guys
of
ever
the
go
story.
outside? So I took the dog out yesterday morning, and something clearly dug in our yard and made a hole.
Yep.
And I'm like, what the fuck is in there?
Could be a rabbit. Oh,
No.
you mean like a deep hole?
Yeah. Like, and it's not a rabbit. My neighborhood is filled with rabbits, and which is so cute. And they live in our hedges. This was different. I've never seen this. So I'm like, what's in there?
Could be a chipmunk.
No, it was a big hole.
Oh.
He's chunky.
Snakes, everything.
Don't
Snakes,
say
all-
that.
Yeah. They stay hidden because they're slithery and sneaky.
snakes.
But yeah.
On the Today Show this morning, there was a family who lost their snake called Big Mama. And their PSA, when they were talking about it being lost, they said, just before we lost her, she had eaten a big meal. So it should be okay for a few days. It should be fine for a few. What does that even mean?
It means that snake's going to be looking for food in a
Right.
couple days. That's what that
Somebody's
means.
pet is Rap City for
So if you have a
somebody's
chihuahua, put it
pet.
away.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, yeah. Ew, I don't like that. Okay, so we asked you a question and then we got sidetracked. I love it. Have you ever had a murder in your hometown or nearby?
Did you ask me that?
Yeah, but
Oh.
we got sidetracked and I'm here for it.
So,
That's what we do here on this podcast.
So, yeah. I grew up in a house. I grew up in Milton, and I grew up in a house that used to be one of Whitey Bulger's friends' houses, one of his close friends' houses. I grew up in that house. So when we first moved into the house, there was
We're both so happy right now. We're trying to stay calm, but we're both like, what? Awesome. That's amazing.
So
Did you find cocaine in your walls? All right, sorry, go on.
What happened was when we first moved in, I was little. I was 6, and so down in the basement of our house, it was like a big card table. Like the whole thing was set up. So we're one family removed from his friend that used to get it, one of his best friends, who we could look it up after. It was I can't remember his name. Maybe our producers, Jamie. I feel like Joe Rogan right now. Jamie, look this up. Right? So 79 California Ave is where I grew up in Milton. 79 California Ave, and then put Whitey Bulger next to that name. Yeah.
Is it really?
79 California Ave, and then put in Whitey Bulger. That's my name. So
Why didn't you?
we're what?
This is like the best present you've ever given me and Carolyn
So-
and our listeners.
So his buddy was one of his very close friends is one person removed. So what happened was, as those guys were doing what they were doing in Southie, as I looked up these stories, is that many of them moved out. They would move out to like Milton, and if you know, like right along, not far from where I live, is where there was so many bodies buried along the highway there. I lived right along the highway before they built the wall, and so right there by the marsh and everything, where you're sliding into Milton from Dorchester off the highway, that all those bodies were there. So they dug those up, and then at my house we never found, like, we had there was a big card table, and if you lift the card table up, it was like a cement cylinder, like probably like a little longer than this table, right? And the table was sitting over it, like all cased in, wooden in. You lifted it up, it's this. So my grandfather's like, clearly there's some money or bodies in this, right? So he had a couple of my uncles come over, and they all got jackhammers, and they were like, so it took like 2 or 3 days, and they leveled it down to the ground. Never found anything.
Okay.
Didn't go deeper than that, though.
Right.
They stopped after they leveled it. So I don't know. I mean, I don't know if somebody still wants to go back there and go deeper, but we don't live there anymore.
Don't
want to ask
break
permission.
in there.
Yeah.
Don't just go.
I wouldn't say to do that, but so yeah, that is the association I have with any type of people dying and the thing, because this guy, I believe, has a couple bodies on him. If you see it there, it says that he has some on him, or one of his buddies does, and I don't know, some racketeering and all other kinds of shit.
My
right?
gosh.
That's what you're seeing. So it was kind of crazy. And I remember when we first moved in, my grandfather said he was, there was some calls and like, don't, you can't live here and all this shit. But he just was like, I'm not gonna.
We live
move.
here now.
We live here, so.
Big Daddy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so.
So I don't know if you know who I am.
I'm Big Daddy.
I'm Big Daddy,
I'm Big Daddy.
and I'm not moving.
I love
so
it.
he stayed there, and yeah. So, but other than that, I don't have any other crazy situations like murdery wise that. But
I always feel like it's so funny because Carolyn and I are both small town girls. We
Living in a lonely world.
That's right. We took the midnight. We didn't even have trains where I grew
We
up.
didn't have
there
a
was
train.
no train you could get on.
There was a train.
There was a train, but it was
It was a
delivering.
tourist
Yeah.
train.
I'm
we
just
didn't-
a city boy.
Work.
All right, sorry. I was in it. I was like,
I know
can't
you were
wait for my
waiting.
part.
You were like,
Yeah.
"Oh, my part's coming.
My
My
part's
part's
coming. I
coming."
was like, come on, do this right on time.
I'm a city boy.
I'm a city boy. And I'm gonna
It's
do
my
it.
turn. So I'm a city boy.
Don't know. Am I on? I'm up here. You're down here. I grew up in Maine, Central Maine. Carolyn grew up in New Hampshire. So we like when things went bad, they went bad. We had Tony V on this podcast. He grew up. We talked about the Boston Strangler. We talked about all sorts of like the massacre at the 99 in Charlestown. Like
We talked about the molasses.
the molasses. You weren't
Flood.
alive, and neither was Tony.
Neither was Tony.
My point is,
Talk
like,
to you about the molasses.
how fast is the molasses?
It was
going?
35 miles an hour.
I know, that was
Because we
crazy.
were like, who can't outrun molasses? And we looked it up,
And you're
35
like,
miles an hour.
It's not slow.
I can't run that with that molasses.
Misconception.
Slower than you think.
Um,
Tony's one of my favorite people.
Oh,
Me too.
He's one of my
Tony
favorite
V.
people on
Yeah.
the planet.
Tony's one of my favorite people, man. He's so
yeah,
prolific.
Everything
with the stand
about
up,
him.
and then he's just chill.
Yep.
Talking to him, he's just chill. He's a real dude.
good human.
Yeah.
But you grew up, Milton, if people don't know, is right
It's right near
outside the
Boston.
city. It's not, I think people are into the misconception that, like, if you don't live right in Boston, you're, like, not near any, you are. Like, Milton
Yeah, like
is
7 miles,
Yeah.
minutes outside of everything. So it's
right.
great.
So
Little burp.
you grew up, I mean, in the city stuff, right? Like, so you.
Because we have so now so look,
Yeah.
if we want to talk about murders like that, I mean, we not in my hometown, but
Right.
like my I'm associated with Lawson's barbershops. That's my family. That's my grandfather. That's my dad, and everything. So like we have barbershops all throughout the city. So yeah, there was things happening. I mean, there was a dude who came into one of the, if we're really talking about murders, I mean, who came into one of my uncle's barbershops and just he was looking for somebody, along that time back in like the late 80s,
Yeah.
90s, so much gang violence and so much was happening in Boston. It's crazy what it's like now because it's nothing
Right.
like what it used to be. But the dude came in the shop and he was looking for somebody specific, and he just told one of my cousins to step out the way who was cutting the guy's hair, and he shot the dude in the chair, and like, but he didn't harm anybody. Like he went specifically for him. It wasn't like a run by, like it was like,
can you move?
Yeah, can you move?
Yeah.
It was like, move out the way. Crazy. I mean, that's a nuts, you know. So there were situations like that happened for sure. And I met so many. What I'll say about this is I met so many good people, like good humans, but they have other sides to them, I'm sure, right? You know, I know they did, because so many of them were killed and were killed. You know what I mean? They were killing people and were killed. But joking with me, you know what I'm saying? Like playing around, we hang, let's go to the store, little man, like, you know, come on, little Lawson, you know, come here, little Lawson, walk with me, hang with me, go across the street playing basketball in the park, whatever, like whatever, all kinds of stuff. Like type of guys who would like, one guy who would play 3-card Monty, right? 3-card Monty. You know what that is?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, 3-card Monty is it's a good street game, and they get your ass in that game, right? You know what that is, right? You put the 3 cards, and they put something under the cards, and they're like pop, 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 and they're like, hey, follow the cards.
Follow the
so
queen,
like
the
I grew up
queen.
around all hustlers. Like I know guys who tell you tricks. I'll tell you about that in a second. But guys who would tell you shit like, hey man, the way guys used to take radios. Remember, at one time, taking a radio out of the car was a big deal. And everybody used to have, it got such a big deal for people stealing radios that people started buying radios that they could take out. So whenever anybody would be in a shop, they could take the face off, or it started being people take the whole damn radio out, and then it got better where you could just take the face off, right? And then people had a face in their pocket of their radio, of their car radio, because people were stealing their shit. So a guy, he would show me one time, he said, hey, if you want to break into the car, all you got to do is get the spark plugs. So he would collect spark plugs from messed up cars. He'd get the spark plugs, you break the spark plugs up. When you take the spark plugs and you break them up and you get the spark plug into little pieces and you want to take a radio out of a car, you just throw a piece of the spark plug out a window and it spiders the glass, because car glass spiders, so it doesn't cut your head off if you get in an accident, right? It doesn't, so it spiders, but spark plugs will spider the glass, just a little piece of it. So he'd have all these little pieces. He just go to different cars, it, go in and take. So, but I'm saying, I'm a little kid learning shit like that.
This is not a skill I learned in Wolfburn and him.
No.
Yeah, right. Little things like that. You know what I mean? But these are also cool ass guys. Like he's showing me that. He's like, yo, this is how you take the radio. You know, I ain't saying it. What am I gonna tell you? This guy just told me how to take the radio. Now I'm on a podcast. Like, you want to steal the radio, but you don't know who the guy is. But
Big Daddy, this is what I learned.
That's what I learned, right? And then the 3-card Monty, right? Well, like when the dude, what he would do is, you know, he would come in, you know, he'd be messing around, he'd be taking people's money at the barbershop. I would watch him on the corner, he's taking people's money, and you know, he had actually had a couple bodies on him as well. You know, I mean, he had killed a couple people, but he was a good, like, it's weird to say that, but he was a good dude. You know what I mean? So I remember he was like, all right, come on, little man. He's like, let's go, what you got? So, you know, he knows me, he knows my dad, grandfather, whatever. He was outside the barbershop. So I'm like, I was like, he said, I bet you $20 that you can't fit the thing. So boop, I do it. I'm like, right there. He's like, got me, little man. You know, shows me, I get him, you know. He's like, yeah, he gives me the 20. He goes, all right, double or nothing. He takes it, obviously. I can't, you know, no idea what the fucking thing's at. Like, he's not even doing it fast, but he's so good that, boom, I don't know where it is. So then he's like, oh, you want to do double or nothing? He's like, well, you got it the first time. I'm like, yeah, double or nothing. Now, at this point, I'm in the barbershop taking money out the cash register.
Oh,
you know what I mean? Which is like, you know, I'm a little dude.
Stealing.
I'm stealing the money. I'm
Stealing
coming
from my
outside. I'm
family.
like, yeah, here, I'm giving it to this dude who's a fucking hustler.
There's a bunch of
who's
money
taking the money.
inside.
Yeah, and I'm taking it. I'm like, here it is, you know. So now I think we got up to like 160 or whatever we got to, because I keep being like, again. So he's getting me up. After he gets a chunk of money, he's like, man, your little ass is crazy. And then he just walks me back in the barbershop. He goes, Mr. Lawson, he's going to empty out the whole register out here, giving it to me. He just gives my grandfather the money back. You know what I mean? And it's like, but I'm saying, like, people have so many sides that you know?
Yeah.
Like, it's just crazy. Like, when I worked in a lockup, I used to work in a lockup. You know, I used to work with violent offenders and, like, juvenile violent offenders. And one dude did some crazy stuff, man. I mean, he, like, you know, one guy had cut a woman's throat, you know, cut his girlfriend's throat at the time, and he was trying to kill her. And but this dude taught me how to play chess. You know what I mean? He taught me how to play chess. This motherfucker taught me how to play ping pong. Like he Listen.
He slit her throat. He's trying to kill her, but you know what? His muffin recipe was bar
I
none.
know. See, I know.
It wasn't sweet, but it also wasn't bland.
Yeah, it wasn't.
I don't know how he's doing it.
That's
I know. I just say that to say there's always
I know.
multiple
Yeah.
sides to people. It's just that you hate that they have that other side to them.
Right.
You're
Yeah.
like, God damn it,
No,
you
I
got
get
such
that.
good qualities. What's wrong with you?
Have you watched The Offer, either of you?
Which one is
The Offer is the story of getting The Godfather made.
No, I didn't watch.
And well, it's amazing.
Miles Teller's in that, right?
It's so good. It's so well done, and it's that whole theme, right? You learn that like this is good people can do bad things,
Yeah.
right? Like good people sometimes do bad things.
Yeah.
And I don't know, I feel like you're kind of, we say we're from a small town, but I think same things were going on up there on a different level.
Of course.
Right? Like I remember my grandmother used to take me, she would go play cards with these women in a basement and they would bet and they were gambling and she would let me bet like, and I have a gambling problem now. I'm just realizing that that's probably related. And there men would come in and out. Like my grandfather he had a car dealership that was actually a front for something else. And, you know, we just never talked about it.
Yeah,
Like, it just
we had a
wasn't-
guy in town who was a drug dealer, and he
Yeah.
had this compound, and there were rumors that he was also a pimp in New York and had ladies in the night that he was getting money from, and none of it was proven,
Right,
but it was something that everybody knew.
right.
Yeah, there's so many.
It's like an open secret.
Yeah.
The older you get too, the more you see, you break down all the hustles. You know so much more because you're so naive when you're younger. Sometimes you see stuff and have no idea, but when you get older, it all makes sense. You're like, wow, I didn't know my, cousin was sleeping with that uncle or that was, you know what I'm saying? It's like
Yeah.
people just think it's like, wow, that's wacky. It's like, no, it's not. What? Just live a little, and you'll
In
be
my
like,
hometown,
God
though,
damn.
everybody knows everybody's business. That's one of the things. Is like gossip is like a career up there. So it's like a really small town. Like there's 7,000 people during the year, and then in the summer it's like 25,000. Like it grows because there's a lot of summer residents. It's like the Cape, but it's in New Hampshire. It's on the lake.
Yeah.
So it's like everybody knows everybody's business. Everybody knows who's sleeping with everybody. So it's weird that there's this unsolved mystery because everybody knows everybody's business.
Yeah.
So someone knows something.
I think they don't have evidence enough to prove who did it, so they haven't made an arrest because they won't be able to try the person again.
Yeah.
But I think they kind of haven't. There's two main suspects in this murder, and it could be either one if you look at.
Well, unpack it with us. What is it?
So this woman was murdered, and her son found her on Mother's Day.
What year?
It's been over 10 years now. She was the school nurse at the elementary school, and she had 5 kids. And she lived right on Main Street. So nothing happens in Wolfboro. Like, same old, drunk driving, whatever. So there hadn't been a murder since the 80s. And that one, the guy said, I killed my wife's lover. I did it. Here's my shotgun. He went to jail. That was like, he's like, you're not going to sleep with some other guy. Killed a guy, gave up, went to jail.
Isn't that the plot of Shawshank?
I don't know, but it
Yeah.
happened. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? So there hadn't been a murder since the 80s.
Why'd he kill the guy? Anyways, go ahead.
Right.
He didn't he had no loyalty to the
Because
guy.
he left
Whatever.
the
Right.
mother of his kids. He had a bunch of kids.
Okay.
So she had 5 kids, and they were all watching a movie, and she was stabbed to death in the middle of the night. So on Mother's Day, her 15-year-old son finds her, and she's been stabbed. And it was like, how did they not hear what was going on? But you have to remember, there's giant houses in Wolfboro. Like, you could be on one side of the house and not hear anything on the other side of the house. That's how big this house was. And it was one of those houses where kids went in and out all the time because she was known in town. Everybody knew her. And there's 2 main suspects. There's a guy she had just kind of dated casually that she broke up with. And he was a logger, and he had, like, cuts on his face and stuff. So he's the first suspect. And then she was going through a divorce, and her ex-husband was, like, controlling and a real asshole. And he said he was at a party in Boston, and there's, like, footage of him being there. But everybody's like, he couldn't have come back and forth. But at night, taking the back roads, you can get to Boston pretty fast from Wolfboro. It's, like, 2.5 hours, but you can get there faster if you know the shortcuts or whatever. So these are the 2 people, and she was about to go to court, And he had said in the past, death before divorce and like all this other stuff. And it's still unsolved, which blows my mind because there aren't that many people.
And no DNA?
Wolfboro, there hasn't been a murder in 20 years. So you have the state police come in after the Wolfboro police come in and boggle the, there was no DNA to speak of. But then 4 years later, if you can see this picture, her husband gets in an argument with his friend in Millis, Massachusetts, and stabs him with a knife from his kitchen.
And the caption says, Edward Burns was charged in a stabbing in his Massachusetts home. And the picture is him smirking, and he has like an old-timey bandage around his head.
So like that lends more credence that maybe it was him. You know what I mean? But it was just weird because everybody liked this woman. Everybody knew this woman. It happened on a Saturday night in May, because Mother's Day is in May, right?
Yeah,
and
Sunday.
No one, they can't solve it. But I think they know who did it and don't have enough evidence. Mm-hmm. But like nothing really has happened since then. But it's like this, it was on Dateline. It's just weird to see people on Dateline talking about this murder. Mm-hmm. And I was just up there and I was like, I drove by the house and I was like, yeah, you probably couldn't. It's a huge house.
Did you know these people?
I knew of her. She was older than me. So I didn't run in the same circles, but I have a lot of people that knew her. Because everybody in a small town, too.
Yeah.
But my thing is, with all the rumors and everybody knowing everybody's business, someone must know something.
Well, someone always knows something. And you just have to wait for them to talk. You have to wait for them to make
and her
mistake.
husband had threatened her in the past. They were having a really messy divorce. And he had 3 of the kids that night, and the other 2 older ones were there. And it's just a bizarre, thing that happens. Like, when you hear about a murder in your hometown, it was just bizarre because nothing ever happens there. It's like when we were in Watertown and they caught the terrorists there. Nothing ever happens in Watertown. Mm-hmm. But then that happened.
Until it does. Right?
And that was the biggest thing,
Yeah, I mean, if they don't, it has to make people feel uneasy. I think that always...
Because no one locked their doors either. It was one of those towns.
Yeah, but I think things like that make people feel uneasy until it comes close to them.
Right.
And then, because they're fine, lock the doors, whatever. And then when something like that comes close to you, you get to see a little bit what it's like when people live in other areas when people are dying all the time. And they're like, well, they're just used to it, but they're not. They don't want to.
Right.
And it's probably someone they know. That's the other thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, like your barbershop example, it's...
Yeah.
Because one of the suspects has
time.
just gone on with
Right.
his
It was
life.
targeted and...
Right.
Yeah.
But nobody wants it. Just in areas where more people are dying than not, I think it's...
Right.
It's no one wants the people to be dying around there.
No.
But one thing I'll say is I never think anywhere is as dangerous as someone says. If you're going in there with some sort of mindset to not be an asshole,
Right.
I'm not saying areas aren't dangerous, but if an area was as bad as they say it is, when you went in there, it just no one would live there. Everybody'd be dead. As soon as people walk down to go to work, everybody be dead, right? But there's a whole community with people moving and grooving and doing whatever, Now, so I don't know. I just think with a situation like that, when they leave these things unsolved, it's very scary because things that scare people when murders and stuff happen are when they don't have a reason and you don't have a person.
Right.
Because it almost is justified. It's the same thing. If someone crashes or something and you're like, well, they drinking? It's not right for it to mean that they crash and that the crash is any less painful, but it does give you some sort of okay, well, it was the drinking. It was the drinking. Gotcha.
It's
because
explained.
it makes you feel it explains it. Because if you don't have anything, then you're like, man, well, my car could just veer off to the left and do that. You start getting very nervous about it. If you don't know why, if someone's running around a town.
Well, that's the other thing. She was well liked by the whole community. She was the school nurse.
Yeah.
All her kids always had friends at the house. She was one of those people that everybody knew and everybody liked, but didn't know all this shit that was going on in her personal life. Mm-hmm. So it's all this stuff comes out, and now she can't explain any of it because she's gone. That sucks too because she doesn't have a voice anymore.
And people who don't experience things like this or have any experience like this, they don't even know what to say. They're just looking at it like, did they have a Ring camera? Did they?
Yeah.
Did
This
the
was
neighbors have
before-
their camera on?
This
You don't know
was
what to say.
before everybody had all of that too. So that's
I'm
the
saying
other thing,
the
yeah.
equivalent of that. Like nobody
Yeah.
saw
Right.
anything. Nobody heard it.
I'm
because-
sure somebody saw something and didn't think about it.
Right. But to other people who don't know that, it's scary.
Yeah.
Super scary because they don't know. They're putting themselves in that position. They're being like, man, I think my kids would have heard it. Like you always try to figure out
Have
something.
you
like,
met a teenager?
No, I know.
You know what I mean?
know, but
they sleep like rocks.
Yeah.
But this kid found his mother, so now he's scarred for life. And if his dad
Right.
did do it, allegedly, then he's got to deal with that if he ever gets, charged with it.
Right.
And he knew the guy that his mom was sort of dating, that she had broken it off with him and she'd gone on a date with another guy and he confronted her and that guy. Like, so there's like all these little things, but it's like with all the fucking evidence that you have, why haven't you solved this yet? Or have you solved it and you just don't have any proof?
So I watch a lot of shit like this.
Me too.
Like, and I was
This one bothers me.
Same.
Yeah, and I was a criminal justice guy. I wanted to be a detective. I wanted to work at forensics. Like
I wanted
really
to do that.
Yeah, I really get into a lot of this
Now
shit.
I tell jokes.
And here's the other thing about this. I've watched many cases where you really do get a rogue fucker who comes in and does it. You know what I mean? Like somebody rogue who wanders into the town. Nobody really seen. No, sometimes someone will be like, "Oh, I saw the guy in a red car. He just was wandering around, or he got out and was wandering around." But sometimes they're sneaky and creepy, like you wouldn't think. Like people who live in small towns like that, they feel so comfortable that they'll be like, leave the blinds open and the curtains open, and there's just woods back there. There's nothing back there.
Yeah.
And
And
it's
there's
like,
some
yes,
creeper.
there is.
Yeah.
Yes, there
Yeah.
is.
There is.
And when there's a creeper who's been watching you for a couple weeks, knows the pattern, comes in, snatches somebody out the house or kills you or takes just your underwear and puts back something, you're like, I think underwear is fucking missing around here. I'm missing my mug and my fucking yellow underwear, right? Whatever.
My favorite skivvies are gone,
Yeah,
and my coffee mug.
Right? But you have somebody fucking with you like that. You have no idea because you're like, well, you would never imagine because you're like, it's a small town. We leave our doors open. Nobody does anything. We leave our cars unlocked. And it's like, that's the other scary thing where it's hard to just be like, all the evidence points at this person, it's them. Because sometimes even when you think that and the person's erratic and they have bad behavior, somebody else can slide in there and do that,
I think it's interesting what you said a minute ago, Ko, where you were like, people only get impacted by it after it happens, like and it's like you can draw a straight line to them.
Yeah.
I remember being a little kid, like really little, and we always went camping. Like that was, that's what you did. You went camping. We didn't have a lot of money, so that was our entertainment. And a kid,
We went to Bible camp once.
that's a whole other thing we have to unpack. I don't even
sucked.
understand that. And there was a kid that got taken from a campground near our town. And I was super little, and I remember it changed everything. It scared my mother so bad. She used to let us do whatever. We would just go outside. Now we couldn't go past a certain point on our street. We couldn't, you're right. Once something comes close to you, you're like, oh.
Yeah.
This could happen here.
Yeah.
Right?
Sometimes rightfully so, things should be put in place.
Yes.
Like if somebody robs you, sometimes somebody needs to get robbed or something stolen from them to understand like this shit can happen.
Yeah.
So maybe, someone comes up to you at a gas station and is like, give me your fucking phone or give me your whatever, right? And you're like, I got robbed at the gas station. Well, now maybe you'll have your head a little bit more on a swivel and not just be like, acting all stupid. You'll be a little bit more aware, as many other people are aware when they're in those situations where you just and this is twofold because I think people should be more aware in situations. I think about everything, everything we're talking about.
Yeah.
But there's also some comfort in knowing that you don't have to lock your door. Wouldn't it be nice if everybody could live and they didn't have to lock their door?
Yeah.
And they didn't have to look around and they didn't have to worry about somebody
never locked
taking
our doors
something
growing
from
up.
them. I mean, it would be nice if it was like that. But see, this is what I'll tell you. It's like once you're violated, though, in any way, shape, or form, it changes you. So, like, we moved from Roxbury to Milton. And so our house had already been broken into a couple times. It's not like everybody's house was, but my family had money, so it got broken into, and just seeing different things, you know, so you're different. So when we moved there at night, we shut the blinds.
Right.
Other people had their things open. You know, we get out the car, whoop, whoop, you know what I mean? We get out and put an alarm on, just running in the house. You go in the house, click, click,
Yep.
lock the doors. It wasn't like someone was coming to kick the door down or they were doing it all the time, but we had already experienced it. And so then it changes you, you know? And if it doesn't, then I think you're kind of stupid. Like people who don't grow up and have anything ever affected, whoever, like, they'll pull up at the mall and have their pocketbook on the front seat and just leave it there and just be like, I'm going to run in the store real quick. But if you've been violated before, you fucking hide that under the seat. You put it in the trunk because you're like, somebody could want this. Your mind is different. You're not just like, there's so many people who are just like, whatever. If they want it, they want it. And it's like, no, stupid, because they think nobody's going to take it.
Right. Yeah.
You know?
Right.
And
it's like when we used to tell jokes at the Emerald Isle in Dorchester. I'd be like, I'm just going to go across the street to get a slice of pizza. And the owner would walk with you.
Yeah.
And I was like, it's right there. And he's like, no, I'll go with you. And I didn't say anything, but clearly it wasn't the best neighborhood.
Right.
Well, it was not the best neighborhood, or did he know that you weren't aware?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Probably
both. Probably both.
That. Yeah.
Right. But it's
like Plumber's going to get mugged if she goes to get a slice.
Well, because you're just chilling.
Right. You're like, I'm just going to get a pizza slice.
Yeah.
Smells amazing. Right. They have crushed red pepper. I'm going. I'll be right back, you guys. It's midnight. I'll be right back. We never locked our doors until my dad worked nights, and there was a night that someone came to our door, the front door,
get gas.
Which was that's listen, people, I don't even think this happens anymore, but when we were growing up, people would come to your fucking door and they would knock and be like, I need to use your phone.
I need your phone,
And people would be like, oh, sure, what happened? And you'd just let them in. But a guy came to our front door, which was always locked. The back door was never locked onto our sun porch. And my mom heard this guy banging on our front door, being like, I need gas. You got to take me to Augusta. I need gas. She whipped down the stairs, went to the back, locked the back door. And then we had this triangle, this old like wrought iron triangle that they would ring it when they wanted us to come in, and it hung outside. So Little House on the Prairie. And he went to the back door and tried the door, and she had locked it, thank God. And then he was like ringing that triangle. And our neighbor across the street was ex-military, and he heard something going on and kind of woke up. And then my mom called him, and he came over packing.
Mm-hmm.
He came over and was like, I think it's time for you to go. Like, it was, and from that on, we locked our doors.
Mm-hmm.
We locked our doors. We turned all the lights out at night. We just weren't on the radar anymore.
And you don't know what you avoided that night. Most likely,
probably a drunk guy.
Yeah. And most likely, nothing was going to happen.
Exactly.
But had it been easier access, you know, because all the dude had to do was be a little smart and be like, I don't want to make a lot of noise. I want to get into this house easily. Right? I don't want to be bashing the door down.
Your dad worked nights.
You don't know.
You don't know the situation.
You don't know.
And so that's what it is. And all it took was a click up. That's it. And then you had enough time to at least do whatever. So it's
we had people. We lived in a parsonage because my dad really is a minister.
In a what?
It's called the parsonage. It's when they give you a house to live
in. It's a parsnip.
Oh yeah.
Parsonage.
Oh, that's like a little.
It's free housing when you're the minister.
Oh.
Okay.
So we lived in the house right next to the church. So people were constantly, when I was real little, we lived there, people were constantly coming looking for my dad.
Yeah.
You know, someone's dying at the hospital because this is before cell phones.
Yeah.
You know, we need you to go sit with them at the hospital, and they just show up randomly at our house because I remember that.
Their intentions were different showing up at your place.
Not always.
Well, what
sometimes they were just a weirdo that wanted to talk to the minister. Like, you get those people, too.
Yeah.
I just remember being little and being like,
yeah.
What's happening?
Do you ever, like, do you ever use any of your bits and like, off of stories and things that you've heard that you just change the names and kind of use that as some bits from things that you heard? Or, like, your dad would discuss something with you after? Like, I can't believe the Johnsons,
Oh, yeah, there was a lot of that in the background. Like, after my parents got divorced in the church, they were split. It's my mom's fault. It's my dad's fault. And they used to talk about my mom and dad. And then my dad married someone from the church, so that was like.
Oh, that's the other crazy part.
Small town, like.
See, and that's human. That's some human shit.
That's why
I'm
private about stuff because
Yeah.
I remember everybody talking about, and I don't want people talking about me. So like, you fucking ask me if you want to hear something about me, I don't like people talking behind my back.
Yeah. Well, shit, they definitely do it.
Yeah.
I definitely talked about you a bunch.
Absolutely.
Tonight.
There was an incident on Facebook that I didn't know about. Someone had to reach out to me to tell me. I'm not going to get into it, but someone's like, so-and-so is saying shit about you on Facebook, and I couldn't see it. I was blocked from it.
Oh.
And so I was like, I reached out to that person, and I said, if you want to talk to me, talk to me. I don't do this.
Yeah.
They never reached back, but I was like, I don't do the behind the scenes. Like, if you want to talk to me, talk to me.
Yeah.
And that was something I got from my parents' divorce. Like, I just don't want to ever feel that way.
The way you sound, you don't need to lock the door. You let them come in there and start talking about you. You fuck somebody up. You want to come in, come in. You better not been talking about me, though. You talking?
Got something to
Well,
say.
like, I think after the marathon bombing, when they were looking for him, we were in lockdown, that changed. I didn't realize that affected me. So we heard it. It was like a block away from where Kelly and I lived in the same apartment building. I still live there. And they had their shootout like a block away from where we were. And I made the mistake of watching the documentary that just came out. So now I have a visual memory as well as a sense memory from that night. And I didn't think it affected me at all. Mm-hmm. And then I did this show in New Hampshire at some guy's house. You know, when you take those gigs and you're like, I don't know if this guy's a weirdo or not, but I'm taking this gig. It pays well. It's in the middle of nowhere. And he goes, oh, you got to stay for the fireworks. It ended up being fine. The guy was awesome. But he goes, you got to stay for the fireworks. And this wasn't just like a couple of fireworks. This was like a whole display that they put on the side of this mountain. Yeah. And they started shooting out the fireworks, and I flinched from the gunshots. Yeah. And it was like a PTSD moment. I was like, wow, I had no idea that it affected me that way. Yeah. I've never flinched when I heard fireworks in my life.
Have you ever been that close to a fireworks show?
Yeah,
That was pretty close.
Yeah. They used to fire them off at the ski area I worked at, and they were like, Mr. Hunt used to do it, and he was usually hammered, and he's go, let's see what this one does. And you're like right next to it. So I actually have been that close.
I'm not someone who likes fireworks.
Yeah,
No.
I think they're fine.
They were close though because my hair got singed.
I was gonna say.
What?
Nah, I was gonna say that. Like, but it's not popular to say that.
No, it's
but
not.
I don't really give a fuck about fireworks.
I don't get it.
They have to be unbelievable because I worked at Disney World.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
And I used to see the fireworks at the electrical parade every night.
I always forget that too.
Right, and it was amazing. It's
Will
like,
you
oh my god!
Tell everybody what you did at Disney World.
I used
You
to
were a
work.
cast member.
I was a cast member. Yeah, I used to work at Magic Kingdom, and so when they first came out with Fast Pass, where like you could choose the times you want to go back to the rides, I was there then doing that, and I used the security. I used to shadow the security because I was a CJ guy, criminal justice guy. So I would get to kind of follow the security and see what they did and everything. And so sometimes I'd fill in at Speedway, and then I met LeVar Burton at Speedway, Reading Rainbow.
Oh yeah.
I met him there.
Rainbow.
I can fly anywhere. Take a look.
It's in a book.
Reading Rainbow. Mini-Me. I met Mini-Me. Vern Troyer.
Could he go on the rides?
He did. I mean,
He's tall enough.
He was, but he could go on the ride. He got on them. Tipper Gore. I met Tipper Gore.
Yeah, because they roll out the red carpet if you're famous at Disney World.
Yeah, you get to just kind of roll through Tyra Banks,
Nice.
John Elway. I met some cool people, but that's not the point. The point was I used to do that at Disney, and I used to see the fireworks all the time. And I didn't even really care that much in, but people would be like, ooh,
They do good fireworks.
Tinkerbell used to fly and everything.
They used to have a real Tinkerbell.
Yeah.
Not anymore.
Yeah. And all that
You
was
kill
really cool.
one Tinkerbell, one zip line wrong.
It got too dangerous.
One night, Tinkerbell, I don't know if I told this before, but one night Tinkerbell got stuck. So she signs a waiver, just like everybody else does. So
I did
Tinkerbell,
the Keys to the Kingdom tour, and they were telling us about Tinkerbell.
Yeah, so Tinkerbell has to sign a waiver because she's literally flying across this
And they
rope
push
in the
her.
sky. Yeah, they push her out, and she goes into the other thing. So she got stuck before they had to shoot the fireworks
I
off.
don't know why that's funny.
They still had to do the fireworks.
So she's on the string.
Yeah, she's on the string and like towards like the middle, just there, and the fireworks. They're not near her, but still, she's just hanging in the air.
Yeah.
Oh
they don't
my
because
God.
it's Disney and the show must go on
Right.
all
Yeah.
the time, no
Yeah.
matter what's going on.
Tinkerbell might go up in flames, but
So we're looking at her and she's out there just doing whatever, but that has to be so scary because she's
Yeah.
just up there just doing whatever, and there's a malfunction, and she has to just be up there. But again,
fine. She's
yeah.
I can fly. I can fly.
Yeah, and she's just up there just
Yeah.
quiet, so they kind of take the, she has to keep doing whatever, and if she's not, then they move the spotlight away, now, blah, 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 fireworks are going off, or whatever.
She's crying.
The show must go on.
Yeah.
One time at Magic Kingdom, I'm at the day parade. This is one of the craziest show must go on things I've ever seen at Disney. They're all dancing. They're doing a little midday. They all do this dance at the Magic Kingdom. Everybody's dancing. It's great, right? It's hot though. It's in there. So they're doing Disney, and Goofy just falls out. Boom, just falls out.
Yeah.
Now the other dancers like nobody stops and looks at Goofy or anything. Somebody comes out the back, like another character just comes out and drags Goofy back, like drags him out. And then the new Goofy's like, he just jumps in. I don't know what the fuck. Yo, I'm like, Disney is the illest. They keep the shit going.
Stand by Goofy.
Yeah, stand by Goofy. Yeah, Goofy. I'm telling you, the show must go on.
We need the Goofy backup.
Goofy
Yeah.
1 is down. We need to put in Goofy 2. Someone
telling
slide
you.
him out. Pooh, slide him out. Pooh.
I stayed at Wilderness Lodge,
Crazy.
which I love. I love the Wilderness Lodge. And they have a water parade that goes like every 3 hours. I was trying to take a nap. I was like, it was hot. I was in the air conditioning. I was like, I'll just take an hour nap and then we'll go back and do something. No, that fucking parade. This water parade. I was like, next time if I stay there, I'll be like, I don't want to be anywhere near this stupid water parade.
Disney does do some great fireworks because they do the like animation
you saw-
on.
Oh, it's unbelievable.
We
on
saw the
castle.
50th anniversary
Yeah,
fireworks.
they were great. But regular fireworks, people get all gaga. You know what it comes down to? You have to sit outside.
Bugs.
Bugs.
It bothers me
There are
so
bugs.
much.
Call
There are
back to
bugs.
Oh my
bugs.
God.
Call back to bugs.
And bats.
There are bugs everywhere.
That's
They're
what it is,
biting
Kelly.
you. They're. I'm like, this isn't that.
Yep.
It's not
Yep.
worth it.
It's not worth it.
It's not worth it.
It's not worth me every 2
Yep.
seconds of me doing
They
this.
get in your nose.
all
I'm
everywhere,
like,
and I'm just like, oh,
Yeah.
There's
this
a
is not
whole
fun.
theme to the fireworks too. Like Phantasmic is one of my favorite things at Disney because they do they have fireworks and they have like the animation on the water and stuff. It's
Yeah.
like- and there's a story.
I mean, that's good.
That's
But
way
regular
better.
old small
No.
town fireworks, bug bites.
We used to go out on the boat and we were under the fireworks, which was cool.
Yeah.
And if there was a good one, all the boats would go.
Yeah, we used to do that too.
So that was cool.
On the boat, it's worse because there's so many bugs on the water, and if you turn the lights on
Oh,
your
yeah.
boat,
Oh,
you
yeah.
see them
Yeah.
all, and I'm like, I'm dead. I just died. Like I can't handle it. I can't. There's something about that.
I'll say this last thing about fireworks. I
please.
don't love it. The bugs is the number one.
Yes.
Number two is I'm just not fascinated by it. But I give it more love now because my sons like it.
Oh,
They're
yeah.
into it.
Yeah.
So they're like, oh, they're
I like
more
the
like
ones
that.
that sizzle.
Yeah, well, they like
They
all
like
that
all
shit
of
in
it.
the sky.
Yep.
So
They're
whatever,
blowing shit up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so now, I'm not like a poo in it. But if it's like adults and it's all adults, like, you want to see the fireworks? I'm like,
Yeah.
"Nah,
No.
man, get the fuck out. I'll meet you guys back
We're
here."
going over.
Yeah, or I'll sit in the car. If
Yeah.
I can't see them from the car, I'm
Yeah.
good.
I'm gonna put the air on and sit in
Yeah.
the car.
Yeah.
We didn't even really get to the murder in my hometown. It happened in 1925.
Still unsolved.
No, they solved it right away, actually, which is surprising because my hometown had a couple hundred people in it when this happened.
They didn't need DNA. They were like, we know who
Yeah,
did
they're
it,
like-
Charlie.
they're
It
like,
was Earl.
Fucking weirdo, get in
David.
here.
Yeah.
You weirdo,
You
get in here.
weirdo. What were you doing? So this guy, Harry A. Kirby, the weird thing about this, though, is a little bit advanced, is that, so I also grew up in a tourist, like a lake town in Maine. And this
Did
guy,
he try to vacuum up all the shit?
no.
Oh, okay. Kirby vacuum.
Kirby
Never
back.
mind.
I
All right,
got
that
it.
was guy. Yeah, that was
And
fuck.
that's just a little playback to The
Yes.
Salesman. You can watch The Salesman starring Corey Rodrigues on Amazon Prime Video.
Maybe we'll add in the clip for this. We'll add in Kelly and I's clip from The Salesman.
Yeah, which didn't make
I'm
it in the
also
movie.
We have
not,
a very
I'm
funny
also
fucking
not
clip
in that
together.
movie.
I can't believe that
I don't know how
scene
to-
didn't
that scene
make
was
it.
great. The
I
scene
mean,
was
the
great.
scene
As
was
much-
great. I
as
don't know
much
why
time
it's
as
not
we-
in the takeout.
That actually need. I'm gonna get that from Rob so we can just
Yes,
post
we
that
should
on
put
the
it
thing.
out
We'll put it out.
somewhere.
Yeah.
Yeah. Vacuums. Yeah. Corey was in a movie.
Yes. You were in the movie too.
I was in it. I just ended up on the cutting room floor. Story of my life.
I was in a commercial when I was 5.
On purpose?
Yeah.
Did you audition for it?
No. they just got a bunch of kids, and it was for some sort of like fluorescent lights.
Yeah.
And we raised our hands in the classroom, and they filmed it. And I got paid $50. And my dad was going to put it in a savings bond, and I took it one day. And I went downtown. I took my friend Lindy Kilmer to lunch, and I bought myself a pair of new sneakers. And I got in trouble big time.
Carolyn's so straight. So
a badass.
She's just funny.
I was in a
We rode our
commercial.
bikes downtown. We went to lunch, and I bought new sneakers.
We went out to lunch.
And I got in
ladies
trouble.
at lunch.
I got in trouble.
I was in a commercial when I was a kid, not on purpose. People had to tell me I was in it. It was an I Love Maine commercial, and I was like smiling and waving at like probably my mom, and someone took a video of it and put it in this commercial.
That's so
Wow.
funny.
I wasn't union then.
This was like for,
I didn't have a leg
I
to
think this
stand
was
on,
like it was
y'all.
like an industrial film type
Yeah.
thing. Like it was for lights in schools. So my friend's dad, who was a teacher, got all the kids together to be in it. We all got paid $50.
I also did
So
some
stupid.
runway work as a child.
Really?
Yeah, I always think it's funny because I'm like, I was a model
I did summer theater, but that's nothing to
for a
talk
local department store.
Can we talk about this for a second, Kelly? About you?
What?
When I was like, Kelly is the biggest star from Boston at one point because you were on Biggest Loser.
I wasn't like almost 20 years ago.
Yes, which I remember just being like, "Yo, this is great," because the show was bumping at that time.
about. You're on the
I mean?
first one, weren't you?
Oh yeah, very first one.
Crazy, and I was like, "Yo, she's on like TV."
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It was like, but you know when you think like,
I know.
back then when you think every credit is like the most giant credit,
Right.
and then you do this shit for a while, and you're like, "All right, it was another one on my belt."
Yeah.
But you think like everything's gonna like propel you,
Like
to the next
Comcast
thing.
Comedy Spotlight.
Oh my
Oh
god!
my God. Comcast
we
Comedy
did that. It was
Spotlight.
the worst.
We weren't even
I remember
mic'd.
being, oh my god! I remember being like, "You guys gotta watch." They were like, "How do I find it?" It's Comcast.
It's
Comedy
on
Spotlight.
Comcast.
You gotta go.
I don't
look,
know how
look
you
for my
watch.
name.
Yeah.
Go into like the file that says comedy.
Comedy.
Under Dick Doherty.
Yeah.
And me.
I'm like the fifth line down. You remember? And I remember telling people, they were like, "I seen it, cuz. I seen it." Like people would see it.
Yeah.
Like I'm so sick of making stuff. I was running through a period of time when everything I was making, it was like I had to give a fucking Bible of explanation on how to find it.
Right.
Like, do you have this channel? No. They're like, can you hook me up with your account? I'm like, I already got 88 people in my account. It's $5 to get this fucking app. Just get it for the
Please.
month. Just buy it. And
Do a free trial.
Just do a free trial for get a couple days and watch it.
I did Comics Come Home. People are like, "Where can I watch that on TV?" I'm like, "You can't.
No.
You missed it."
It's not the Robin Williams one.
Yeah.
There was a
So
time,
annoying.
there was a period of time where I would get a show.
Yeah.
I was on a show called Stand Up in Stilettos on the TV Guide channel. And
Definitely gonna look that up.
It
I did not
aired.
know.
It aired, and then TV Guide channel went off the air. Then I got
Oh my God.
I got Access Comedy Live. Was so excited. Goes away. Yeah, it's crazy. Premium Blend. I way back for Comedy Central.
You did Premium Blend back in the day?
Way back.
Oh,
yeah.
shit.
I really was gonna be someone one day, Corey.
No, you still are.
And
Get out of
then-
here.
and then
my
I was like,
God.
you know what?
Oh my God.
You did Last
Why-
Comic Standing the last season. They did it.
I did, and you can see me conveniently sitting in the green room as
Yeah.
each winner gets called out.
At least you weren't the last one picked
It's so
in
funny
Boston.
the other side of this shit when you're like, there's
Yeah.
so many things that you're doing, and then
Yeah.
you'll pop. You're gonna do something in pop for
I-
the next couple
we-
years,
it's-
right? And they'll be like, came out of nowhere.
Yeah, I'm probably gonna fall down a flight of stairs, and someone's
Yeah.
gonna
Yeah,
videotape
yeah.
it, and I'll stand up real quick,
Yeah,
and they'll be
yeah.
like, "This woman's practically in the circus."
Yeah,
They'll
right.
just put like a
I'll
fun.
submit it to
Yeah.
a funniest home
Thank
video.
you. Yeah, because I could use $10,000.
Look how
No,
long-
I would
Look
win.
how long she fell.
I would get the money.
She said, on every step.
I would get the money, but I'd share it with you.
Oh, sorry, I didn't know you were gonna get the money.
If I submit it, I get the money.
Oh well, if it's my ass, I'm getting the money. Yeah, I don't even want to talk about my murder now because this has been way more fun talking about this stuff. So Corey, we're gonna do some field trips.
Yeah.
To go to some scary places. I told Carolyn I would do it.
Yeah.
And you have told us that you are like, I want to see it.
Yeah.
So would you come on a field trip with us?
100%.
Nice.
Yeah, one of the places we got in a town called Ashland. There's a place called Johnstone's.
Yes.
Which is That is
Stone's Public
Stone's
House.
Public House, which
The
is supposed to be
restaurant.
haunted.
Oh, we wanted to go there.
Yeah.
Get the
So that's
haunted
one.
chicken
I've been,
wings.
yeah.
Yeah, I'll
It's
go there.
creepy.
And
We'll
other
get haunted
places.
chicken wings and we'll hang out.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
You
That's
love
pretty
that.
good food. I've been there.
Yeah, the food's decent. We want to go to Lizzie Borden's Bread and Breakfast.
I'm down. Where is that?
We should
Did
go.
I call it
That's
bread
in,
and breakfast?
Yeah, you did.
Yep.
Everything's
in
a
Fall
bakery.
River.
You can
to
have
me.
bread there.
We
It's
can,
fine.
It's
we
not
can
rolls
either
up
go to
on
the
it.
house
Bread
that
and
she
breakfast.
supposedly murdered them in, or
Yeah.
we could go to Maplecroft, is where she lived after the murders,
Right.
that she supposedly haunts herself.
Yeah.
Herself. She does
Lizzie
not
Borden,
hire out for
She
that.
didn't kill anyone there, but she lived there, and she supposedly is still there.
It is weird she lived in that town until the. Okay, anyway, this isn't a.
Because she
Lizzie
was
Borden.
like,
It's
fuck you, motherfuckers. You didn't prove it, so I'm going to stay.
Yeah.
it's disappointing.
I don't
to-
think she said it that way.
I don't think she said it
No,
like
I
that.
don't either.
She was
Of
proper.
course, it was too tight.
It's disappointing to like not see the shit when we go there though. Like not
I know.
something.
Yeah,
You
when
know?
you're not expecting it. You're expecting to see something and you don't see it.
When you don't get anything, and it's like all
Yeah.
these people pay all this money just to be like, people died here.
Well, you
And
can
it's like, you
stay
can, like-
at the Lizzie Borden house. I
You
don't
can
want
lay on the couch that her father, that classic picture of the father missing his face. Like,
But
take
I was
my
like,
picture.
I don't want to pay money
Yeah,
to
yeah.
live
Yeah.
in the room where her stepmother was killed.
No, I don't need that.
And to
No.
eat shitty, eggs Benedict the next day.
I mean, the best part is that you will come on an adventure with us.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
We also
I'm
want to go
down.
up
Yeah,
to
yeah.
Salem and see the house where the witches were.
This house is Seven Gables.
Yes.
You
Let's
don't
do
wanna-
an Amityville one. Let's go for
Amityville
real.
would
Let's
be
do
fun.
Amityville. No?
All right.
Let's just go in front of the house and be like, yo. Yeah.
Amityville, yeah.
Amityville in Amityville, New York.
It's New York.
It's New York on the
Yeah.
water.
Road trip.
Yeah.
Thank you for coming on our podcast.
Thank you for
This is
having
your
me.
second time.
Yes, this was awesome.
Yes. And where can people find you next?
They
Tell
can-
us some stuff.
I will be at the Nantucket Comedy. When is this coming out?
Oh, nice.
No idea.
Just
but
say that because
even-
we've
yeah,
all done it.
Say it. It's great.
Okay. The Nantucket Comedy Festival this weekend. I will be there. So this is probably.
You missed it.
Yeah, you
Babe.
missed
Yeah.
that.
That's a
Then
good time, though. You're going to have
I
fun.
will be.
Speaking of haunted
I'll be
things.
in Alaska, Alabama, and Alaska, Arizona, Arkansas, California, Colorado, Connecticut, and more, Delaware,
What was
Florida,
it?
Georgia, and
We need the
Hawaii,
second
Idaho.
goofy. We need the second goofy. We have a goofy down. People can find you at CoreyRodrigues.com.
CoreyRodrigues.com. You can find me on Instagram at CoreyRods. If you want to come out to a show, come there, check the schedule out. Make sure you come out, check out a lot of funny videos, a lot of funny things we're doing online. And I would love to see you.
Yes. Thanks for coming on, honey.
Thank you for having me.
Thanks, Corey.
Thanks for listening to the Fraidy Cat podcast, and we'll be back next week. This is Kelly McFarland.
And Carolyn Plummer.
And have a great day. Thanks for listening.